guys, so I wanted to make a video today telling a little story about something pretty cool that happened recently. So to go to the beginning, basically when I was probably around 6 years old, I read a book, a picture book that I ended up falling in love with and then somehow losing. It wasn't a book that we owned, so I think it was a library book or a book that one of my parents bought for a friend and had to give away, and I still remembered the book a few years later. So I tried looking for it and I looked in bookstores and libraries and online, and my mom tried looking for it too because she remembered it, but we just never found it anywhere. And it was getting to the point where I wasn't sure if it even existed, and maybe I dreamed it, or maybe it was a book that I wrote when I was a kid. And I started to think I would have to write the book just to get sued for copyright, even though I have no plans of actually becoming an author. So at one point I joined the group on Goodreads called What's the Name of That Book? And I got a few suggestions and nothing really sounded right, and a couple years went by with no solution found. And my new job, I came across some resources that I could use to help locate it. So one day at work I came across a book that was a new book but sounded very similar. So I researched that book, trying to find if maybe they referenced the one that I had read, and I didn't find anything. But it reminded me of my search to find the book. And so at that point I used the resources to just browse through a bunch of books, picking out titles that sounded right, and then trying to find images for the covers. And I found a couple that I thought might be it. So this one here is one of the suggestions from the Goodreads group, and it is called How the World Got Its Color. And it's basically a story of a young girl who finds a paint set, and she lives in a black and white world, and she paints the world full of color. And that's the basic premise of the book I remember as a kid. But this one is, I believe, a Japanese kind of folktale. And I definitely didn't remember that aspect of the book, but I wanted to find it just in case. So through my library, I got them to find a copy at a completely different library somewhere else in the country to borrow from, which is called an interlibrary loan. And if you don't know about it, you should definitely check it out at your library. But they can basically loan you books that they don't have in their own system. So I read this book and it was cute, but I knew it definitely wasn't the right one. So eventually I came across the title, The Color of Things, and there wasn't an image for the cover, but when I did find the cover, which looks like this, it seemed like it could really be the one. Because I remember a girl being on the cover, and she's in the middle of painting a black and white city. And before the book arrived from my library, I found an image online, and that's of this page here, and just this image of the girl looking inside this treasure chest of colors. And it just really struck a chord with me, and I knew that this was the one because I remember this image more than anything. So I took the book home and I took it over to my parents' house and showed it to my mom, and she read it and agreed that it was probably the one. And it was funny because she remembered a lot of the lines of the book and I remembered a lot of the pictures, which is probably because she read it to me as a child and I looked at the pictures. So I don't even know if I'm like conveying how big this is for me, because we searched and searched for this book for years and years, and now we finally found it. And as a kid who growing up wanted to be an artist, this book just really meant a lot to me. I was thinking that I would eventually make a video here on YouTube asking if any of my viewers would recognize it and help me try to find it, but luckily I found it on my own, and it's just a really big relief to have the mystery solved. This actual physical copy came from Ventura County Library in California, which is a few states away from where I live. So it's really cool that I was able to use my library to find this book and read it and just make sure that it was the one I was looking for. So now I'll probably find a used copy online somewhere and just buy it so I can own my own finally after all this time. I didn't remember the storyline exactly, but while reading this again, a lot of things came back to me. And it's basically about this evil couple who steal all the color from the world. But this little girl finds a treasure chest full of colors hidden away in a tree stump. And so she gets all of her friends to paint all the colors back into the world, and they paint them in really fun ways with stripes and polka dots and making things weird colors they wouldn't normally be, but adding beauty back into the world. And I think it's this kind of story that is really important to enjoy and share with others in the time that we live in right now. So that was just a cute little story I wanted to share with you about this search for a book that has been going on for at least half of my life that has finally come to an end, and the awesomeness of libraries and their resources and what they can do for you. If you have any similar stories of books that you remembered that you came across again and were happy to see, then share with us down in the comments. I think to end the video, I'll just read you the last paragraph in the book. Wherever you live, in whatever town, remember to look at the colors around. For the red of a sunset, the blue sea and light, the things you hold dear could be drained overnight. And if you have paints, don't throw them away. Keep them close to your heart, for they might save the day. Bye.